Welcome back, everybody, to Markonomics 101 presents Hoot Loot, the place you come to be informed, suffocate, be amused, but never be misled. I'm taking these scoff. Guard, take this back. I don't care. These guys locked me up for telling the truth, and what do I get for it? I tell the truth, and I get this stupid idiot place with these masks on. And well, fortunately, though, I have Astro Boy here who is saying the same thing: vote out the incumbents, because he knows he knows how bad they've done, and we just happen to have part of our research committee, which is also telling you to vote out the incumbents. So that's going to be part of our theme today, and basically today's show is called "Fed Caught in Financial Roach Motel, No Way Out," and it's all about how we are at the end of the worst mismanagement of the economy there's ever been, and like and subscribe, and we're going to show it to you in charts in just a second. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about what the Federal Reserve does, because you may not know or what their role is, actually. They really don't have a role. They kind of make one up. They're sort of like a dentist that gives you a cavity so they know you'll come back. So they basically blow up big bubbles, ruin the economy, and then they come running in to save the day. And they've been doing that now, as you can see on this chart. This is actually the whole Fed balance sheet. This is the amount of bonds that they've held since the crisis in 2008. Now, if you'll notice, they're buying. They not only mentioned they're buying 120 billion a month, so things going straight up. But look at the doubling in the last year. They're just pushing money out there like crazy. And the thing is, the reason I want you to look at this, it hasn't done any good. I mean, that's the thing. If what you're doing is putting out a lot of money out there, trying to like save the economy, and it's not actually helping, which it's not. It used to be that maybe you borrowed a little bit of money and you got some GDP out of it. You don't really anymore. It actually goes backwards because they so mismanage what they're doing. And I'll give you some of those numbers right here, which I just looked up. Our national debt is $28 trillion. Our GDP is at 22. We now are 1.4 times, which is pretty damn high, and 6.8 billion in spending every year, and that's double the amount of tax revenue we collect. We have a 3.4 trillion dollar deficit, of which the Fed buys 120 billion dollars worth of bonds a month and basically covers about half of it, about 1.5 trillion. That's government for you. Now, if you were the average person, you would be making 30,000 but spending 70,000. That's what you would be. That's what you would be doing. And the people that you've elected to actually manage your money are that stupid. Yes, they're that stupid that they would actually do something so dumb. Right now, Social Security, Medicare, and interest on the national debt and defense, that's everything. That's even more than we collect in revenues. If we want to spend anything discretionary, oh, good luck. So when we make these infrastructure bills, I mean, they're just, they're not creating more product. What they're doing is creating more money, and you have more money and the same amount of product or not as much. What do you get out of that? Inflation, Jay Powell. And the other thing he said, which I found very, very interesting, he says, well, we'll continue our stance until conditions, we hit our targets. Well, the target for inflation is 2, and they're at 5. So how are you going to keep throwing money out there and go from 5 to 2 in inflation? And interesting, the financial media, no one there thought to ask that question. You can't reduce inflation by throwing money at it. Oh my God. All right. Anyway, let's go to the markets. I said last week that I might not have Bitcoin on again, and the cryptos. But the reason I put it back is it actually rallied all the way to about 40,000, and I really didn't think it would. It actually just zoomed up there. We'll see if it breaks out above 40. We'll have to take another look at it, but there's still nothing about cryptos that can get me excited. There's now more than 11,000 of them, and I heard a guy the other day telling, oh, they're being adopted. By who? No one's adopting them. Oh, there's stores don't use them. Amazon just turned down cryptos. Okay, they don't want to have anything to do with them. So who's going to use them in e-commerce when the biggest one of the biggest e-commerce companies wants nothing to do with it? Okay, that's all I want to know. Tesla, this one actually looks like it may have broken up instead of down. And I got to ask, it's kind of funny because Elon Musk, it was around 1960 that John F. Kennedy said we're going to put a man on the moon. That was 60 years ago, and he actually he had a 60-year they had a 6-year head start, and he's launching rockets, doing it for NASA now because they somehow lost how to do it. Have you ever heard of a technology that actually goes backwards? So you can go to the moon in 1969, but you can't go to the moon in the year 2020 because your technology has gone backwards. Yes, like in cars, you notice all those cars have turned into horses out there. Well, that's it. That's a technological backward movement. You put a piece of, you get a piece of toast out of the toaster, you put it back in, comes out as untoasted bread. I don't know what's going on. The world's going backwards. Here's an example of it right there, Tesla. And now he's battling Jeff Bezos, who also has to go to the moon too, in his, I don't know, as a Blue Origin or whatever. He's like, can't we have a shot at the contract? Like, you're not rich enough already, Jeff? Give me a break. Dow Jones Industrials are in a sideways flag here. They look like they could just as easily break out. Again, I cannot give you a solid yes or no or opine this way or that way. There are a lot of things that look good. There are a ton of things that look bad. I know the ultimate outcome will be bad, but we could dribble along for a little bit because we have for so long under such ridiculous conditions. All right, well, we're looking at the NASDAQ, and it keeps making new highs all the time, as does the S&P 500. These are very healthy-looking charts, I gotta say. I don't know where all the money comes from. Actually, the money comes from the companies themselves. They're actually buying their own stock back. That's a lot of what's going on right now. It's not necessarily the public. Small cap index looks very good, too. And the transportation average is starting to, it looks like a bull flag, and we'll see what happens here. But most of the charts are still looking good, except for a couple. A couple of them have broken down and really are sending a different message, and they're very confusing. So this is going to be another day of confusion. That's all I can tell you. Even Astro Boy, look at him. He is never confused about anything, especially voting out incumbents. But he's confused today. He hasn't said a thing to me the whole day long. All right. So let's go on to the dollar. I have no idea why the dollar looks so good. I really don't. When you print something in unlimited amounts, it should have no value. And yet, this thing has value, and it's printed in almost unlimited amounts. I'd want to own a printing company maybe that sold, printing machines to the Treasury. That might be a good investment. Who knows? Treasury inflation protected securities is probably the purest way of measuring inflation expectations, and this thing is on a tear, just going straight up. This pays about 1.5 to 1.75 in cash, and then the principal accretes at the difference between the CPI and zero. So it basically gives you the CPI plus 1.75 in cash, and the principal will accrete. Oops, I went too far. CRB, brand new high there too. This is an old and revered index, a basket of commodities. This thing's making new highs. We are not seeing transitory inflation. There's nothing transitory about it here. We've seen the CRB double in the last year. That's going to take a long time to work its way off. Did you notice the money supply doubled in the last year? So, the relationship between money supply and prices is not as unindirect as a lot of people will argue. It's very direct. You have as many goods but more dollars. You're going to have each dollar worth less, and that's how it goes. The only way to get rich or the only way to get prosperous is through productivity gains. So if basically, if the U.S. wants to declare war on prosperity and have the kind of success we've had with our wars on drugs and terror, then that would be the right policy. The war on prosperity will never be so wealthy in our lives. Crude oil continues to go up. It's stuck at around 70, but it hasn't been this high in a long, long time. And it's somewhat surprising. It's costing more to produce crude oil, and shale is not really making the comeback I would have expected. Unleaded gasoline, brand new high. Natural gas just continues to go up like a rocket. And there's a graph of big oil right there. These are like the Exxons, the Chevrons, and that kind of thing. This looks like a rounded top to me. So, oil may for the time being pause a little bit. There's some indication some of the commodities are pausing, but that doesn't mean it's transitory. It just means they can't go up every single day. This is the Invesco Agriculture Fund, and you'll notice that it's broken out, and it's kind of gone up, gone back down. But food prices continue to go higher. We're going to have those $50 hamburgers pretty soon, or maybe $1,000 hamburgers. I don't know, but there's no stop in food prices. I can tell you that for a fact. My 5 Big Macs a day cost me even more every single day. Livestock index, for those of us who are carnivorous creatures, livestock is actually around the top two. There's a lot less consumption of this, so I don't know how much of it is due to veganism and ways of life as opposed to lower demand. So we'll just have to see. But I think there's actually a big trend toward lower demand of eating the living, or formerly living, I guess. You don't really eat it when it's living, I think. At least I hope not. Sugar broke out. It's in just about everything. This is about as indicative as they get. So, we're going to have higher food prices. That's all there is to it. Base metals, the base metals fund, these things continue to go up. This is stuff like lead, copper, steel, iron, whatever, keeps going up. Alcoa broke out, aluminum maker, looking really good, former Dow company. I mean, this is exactly the kind of pattern you would see if this thing intends to go up a long way. So aluminum suggests we are going to have a lot of sort of base building material inflation coming up. Copper miners, not as much so. Now we have what looks like could be a head and shoulders pattern here. So they could be in a rounded top. I don't know. We'll have to see more data points come out. But again, a lot of these are suggesting sideways motions for a while. The overall CRB is going up, so it doesn't matter. This is a company called BHP. This is the largest metals mining company in the world. And the reason I put it here is because it's the largest metals mining company in the world. I didn't have a better reason than that. But it's also looks like it's gone up quite a bit. This thing mines everything. And, this one could be in a rounded top too. And the reason that that's so important is that, if these companies start coming in, we're going to get more confirming evidence of that recession possibility, which I think is more than a possibility. I just don't know the timing yet, and that's the hard thing to gauge, exactly when we're going to fall off the cliff. Palladium also rounded top. Look at that. This is now more of a precious metal, and it's been going up largely because of EVs. EVs are supposedly going to save the world. They're not, but Palladium's been coming back down. We also look at gold, and gold doesn't look good either. Now, gold has had a couple of okay days around here, but this thing has had so many false breakouts that you have to really wonder about this thing, because it behaves so erratically, and the notion that there's manipulation behind its price, that's an easy one to defend. That's all I got to say. Even silver has come down. Now, I would have not guessed this, but silver is starting to actually look like it's breaking down. And again, I pounded the table for silver, but I've also said, get out. I made a mistake. I did, mea culpa. I would not be a participant right now in silver, although it has great fundamentals. There will be a time to make a lot of money. It just is not today. And another way, I know that as a gold and silver miners, these usually lead the metals on the way up, and they're just behaving terribly. They're at yearly lows. So there's really no point in getting involved yet. I'll tell you what's really looking very interesting is cannabis. We're going to start looking at that coming up, and some real estate companies, in subsequent shows. 5-year yields continue to come down. Amazing. I mean, they've gone down as low as 60 basis points. This does not look like an economy that's booming. And on the one hand, some of these companies I'm going to show you are booming. This looks like a depression to me. I mean, you look at the 10-year yield; it's gone down to as low as 115. 1%, 1%.15. Some stupid idiot lent the U.S. government for 10 years at 1.15%. Wonder who stupid idiot that was. Probably somebody who worked for the stupid idiot government. You know, and 30 years. Look at these guys. They're just tumbling. They're cascading. I don't know why this is. I can't give you a real good reason other than the fact that there is enormous force being applied to keeping these rates artificially low. This just should not be the case. You should never have a 30-year rate that's 1.7 or 1.8% when you have inflation. We're seeing producer prices 1% month over month, 7% year over year. I mean, that just does not make sense. It will never make sense. And whoever is eating it by basically keeping the rates low, i.e. the U.S. government, they're doing it all for our own good. So, as Astro Boy would say, vote out the incumbents! All right. So, we keep going here. Apple, unbelievable. This thing is it looks like it's made a new high, and I can't for the life of me understand why. This thing practically has every single, it's involved in every single industry segment in the world. I mean, this thing is a country in and of itself, worth now $2.5 trillion. That would make it the sixth largest country in terms of GDP. It's worth $2.5 trillion. Unreal. Amazon broke up, broke down. I have no idea what to think now. Okay, it looked like it was going to go, and then all of a sudden on Friday it fell apart. So we saw stuff that zoomed, stuff that fell apart. We don't know what the hell to think about all this. Maybe it was because of Jeff Bezos and his desire to to go to the moon. I don't know. I just don't know. Facebook. We'll talk about this one a lot more. But the key thing: this company keeps making money, keeps making it very quickly. And it's now a $1 trillion company. But I'm going to show you some of the scams that good old Mark Zuckerberg loves to have. I've talked about WhatsApp in the past. WhatsApp, Mark! We're going to show you WhatsApp with some of these little scam things I've got going. This right here is a screenshot of the dating app on Facebook. Now, what you notice here is that one user. If you'll notice, one user here says, the one that's not there anymore. I say, so your profile was wrong. And no, I don't use WhatsApp. Still interested, and the person's disappeared. If they cannot get you to WhatsApp, there's no point in living. I mean, that seems to be the way they're trained. Oh my God, I can't get up to WhatsApp. I'm in commit Harry Carey. But you look at all of these conversations. All of these, I must have 100 on my phone. It's like, do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Like in this one, for example. I'll let you read it, but basically, it sounds like this person this isn't even a human being. This is just something that just, says something in response to some other thing being said. It sounds like a bot, and basically it continues to go, do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? Cuckoo, 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 like me, kind of, and it's really amazing. Microsoft, this thing is absolutely going crazy. I would stay away from stuff like this. Bully if you've held it, but how are you going to buy low and sell high on something like Microsoft? You're just not. And NVIDIA has now kind of turned back a little bit, but it is the poster child of semiconductors, and the semiconductors continue to be at all-time highs. They just, the shortage in cars is huge apparently, and they can't seem to get the capacity out there. The bank index also in a rounded top, it's looking like, and that's a big difference. And as we've seen interest rates change their structure from more steep to flat meaning that the difference between the long end, the 30-year, versus the short end or 3-month is smaller or lower, so it's flatter and it's not steep. Steep is usually consistent with a healthy economy making more money. Flat is not. It usually implies recession. It implies that things are slowing down. The broker-dealer index, looks like maybe it's pausing, maybe it's not. It's going to come out pretty soon with some interesting IPOs. One of course being SpaceX, and we've gotten a guy to get a $74 billion contract to go to the moon 60 years after the U.S. supposedly went to the moon. Why? What the hell happened to our technology? Oh, I guess a dog ate it or got thrown out with the trash. I don't know. Something must have happened to it. But I guess no, heads must have rolled somewhere. I just don't know where, because I think someone would be in trouble for losing that kind of technology. American Express continues to do very well. See, these are more, economy. Citigroup, you'll see some healthy and some unhealthy. And that's what I'm going to show you, that it is fracturing. Citigroup looks like it's rolling over. Um, Goldman Sachs kind of looking flattish, but it's not going up anymore. So we'll have to see about that one. Again, everything looks like it could continue to really go up. It could break down. We just don't know, and we'll just have to wait it out. There's a time when you just, best time is just to sit back and don't be too anxious to try to make money, because that's when you're going to lose it. JP Morgan rounded top two. MasterCard looked like a head and shoulders last time, still does. It had it looked like it split down, came back up. So Visa also very healthy chart pattern. Again, the retail sector for the most part is healthy for the most part. Okay. American Airlines, personal transportation is not really that healthy. There was a pent up demand, but there's too big of of an operating structure. A company like American Airlines has got to run it like twice the volume to make money, and they just, volume can go up, but prices can go up, but you just don't have the ability to make a whole lot of money. I don't know what's going to happen to these companies. FedEx, look at that. FedEx all of a sudden just broke down with United Parcel Service. We'll show you that in a second. UPS and FedEx are highly indicative of the economy and transportation. Look at that. They were doing real well, and all of a sudden just fell out of bed, just like kaboom. So these are the kind of things, and I'm going to show you UPS here. But look at that. There's a green ellipse, and then there's a red ellipse, and this thing just fell. It just boomed up, fell back down. I don't know what to make of it. This would be the kind of thing that would suggest really the brakes are coming on the economy, and they're coming quickly. Walmart is doing remarkably well, actually, considering everything, and Walgreens is not, considering everything. So you continue to get just different types of signals. Now Target going off to the moon, which we've been talking about, maybe even Mars. Nike, look at that. Sure is a lot of spring in those shoes, because that thing just bounced up like crazy. It's really hard for me to understand why expensive goods like this are doing so well, and then other places you see like a Walgreens or something like that, it just doesn't look like they're doing well. And here's McDonald's. McDonald's all of a sudden, it's just bursting out. Now I don't know exactly why. It seems to be that they're able to pass on inflation very easily, and they have much higher margins. And same with Coca-Cola. The sugar, the whole sugar going up, they can pass along, and this again shows a normalcy, a growth, a consistency that would suggest a healthy economy. People are drinking more Coca-Colas. Nordstrom's looks like it's about to break down, rounded top. So here's a retailer that does not look like it's getting with the program. So this one possibly will come down. It's going to be very interesting to see who ends up as survivors and who does not, because I think this is all a battle to the death. Costco, well, they'll survive. There's no doubt about that. Intel, they've got a lot of tough competition. This used to be one of this was the largest semiconductor company, and it's still just limping along. And Ford, that thing was shooting up, and then all of a sudden it looked like it broke down, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's shooting up. So try to make some sense out of this. The hard part of making sense out of any of this is that it doesn't really necessarily reflect reality. Charts are charts. The reason you want to know what a chart says is because it might really say something, that something is stupid, and you should pay attention to how stupid it is. Seriously, if it's if the background fundamentals, like in silver and gold, and the charts are acting differently, believe the charts, for at least temporarily. And that's kind of the importance of having something like this. It's an objective tool. And then finally, the biotech ETFs. Now, this is amazing. Pfizer yesterday announced $33.4 billion in earnings from its vaccine alone. It now believes that people may want to have a third jab, and apparently a new variant is as effective against as we all had hoped. And now it looks like we're going to have boosters every 6 months. So, get with the program. Get your boosters here every time. Roll up those sleeves. It's all good for America. And this is how badly our country's been mismanaged. Because, again, we have basically just ripped this country apart for that. And vote out the incumbents. That's all you can do at this point. They're doing everything. They will never give up power voluntarily. That's never happened in history. And just get them out. I don't care whether you're Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Just vote out the incumbent. And we're going to see you very shortly with another show coming up. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.